Military-led countries have just launched an alliance which they claim is based on NATO's model. And these nations are Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger. They have clubbed their militaries and called them the United Force of the Alliance of Sahel States. It was formally launched on Saturday at an airbase in Bamako, the capital of Mali. Defence ministers from all three countries were present. Officials say the 5,000-strong unit is designed to fight Islamist insurgency and Al-Qaeda-linked terrorism.
Something unprecedented is unfolding in Africa, and Western military planners are watching closely. Three Sahel nations once labelled unstable have formed a unified military alliance that openly rejects NATO's influence. Foreign troops are gone, defence agreements have collapsed. And for the first time in decades, regional security is being shaped without Western approval. Analysts warn this could permanently weaken NATO's grip on Africa and reshape global power dynamics. This isn't just a regional pact. It's a direct challenge to how security has worked since the Cold War, and the consequences may reach far beyond Africa.
The ground is shifting beneath global power structures, and it is happening far from the traditional centers of influence. In the heart of West Africa's Sahel region, three countries long viewed as fragile, peripheral, and dependent have taken a step that is forcing diplomats, generals, and strategists in Western capitals to reassess their assumptions. What once looked like a series of isolated military takeovers has now hardened into something far more consequential: a coordinated alliance with the potential to redraw the region's security map and challenge decades of Western dominance. The world is paying attention because this is not just another regional pact. It is a direct response to years of foreign military presence, political pressure, and economic dependency. It is a signal that the Sahel is no longer willing to remain a theater where others set the rules. For NATO and its leading powers, this moment represents a strategic shock. For Africa, it may mark the opening chapter of a new era. Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso occupy one of the most strategically sensitive zones on the African continent. Stretching across the Sahel, they sit at the crossroads of North Africa, West Africa, and Central Africa. For years, this region has been described almost exclusively through the language of crisis: insurgencies, coups, humanitarian emergencies, and foreign interventions. Yet beneath that narrative lies a deeper truth. These countries are central to transnational trade routes, rich in natural resources, and critical to controlling the spread of armed groups across borders. In global politics, their importance has often been defined by others. Foreign troops operated on their soil. External partners shaped their security doctrines. International institutions dictated economic reforms. Over time, resentment grew. Many citizens came to view Western involvement not as protection, but as control that failed to deliver stability. When military leaders seized power in rapid succession, they tapped into that frustration, framing themselves as defenders of sovereignty rather than usurpers of democracy. What makes the current moment historic is that these states did not stop at rhetoric. They moved quickly to formalize cooperation, announcing a mutual defense pact that commits each member to collective security. An attack on one is treated as an attack on all. Intelligence sharing, coordinated military planning, and joint operations form the backbone of the agreement. Borders that once fragmented security responses are now being treated as shared lines of defense. This is why analysts are comparing the alliance to NATO. The comparison is not about scale or capacity, but about principle. Collective defense has long been the cornerstone of Western military alliances. Seeing the same logic emerge in a region historically shaped by external security frameworks is deeply unsettling for established powers. It suggests that Sahel states are no longer content to rely on foreign guarantees. They want their own version of strategic solidarity. For NATO, the discomfort runs deeper than symbolism. The Sahel has been a major arena for Western counterterrorism operations for more than a decade. European forces, particularly from France, invested enormous resources in stabilizing the region. The United States provided intelligence, training, and logistical support. These efforts were justified as essential to preventing threats from reaching Europe and beyond. Yet despite years of operations, insecurity persisted, and in some areas, it worsened. The new alliance is a blunt verdict on that history. By expelling foreign troops and replacing Western partnerships with a regional framework, these countries are effectively saying that the old model failed. For NATO, This is not merely a loss of influence. It is a challenge to the credibility of its approach to security cooperation in the global south. France feels the impact most acutely. Once the dominant external power in the Sahel, it now finds itself pushed out of territories it considered central to its strategic interests. Military bases have been closed. Defense agreements have been terminated. Political influence has sharply declined. For a country that long positioned itself as Africa's primary security partner, the reversal is dramatic and deeply consequential. The United States, while less visible on the ground, is also affected. Its strategy in Africa has emphasized partnerships, training missions, and counterterrorism coordination. The alliance signals a rejection of that framework. It raises uncomfortable questions about whether Washington's influence is waning in regions it once shaped with relative ease. At the heart of this shift is a powerful surge of anti-Western sentiment. This did not appear overnight. It grew from years of unmet expectations. Foreign troops were supposed to bring security, yet violence spread. Economic partnerships were supposed to foster development, yet poverty deepened. Political advice was supposed to strengthen institutions, yet instability persisted. Over time, frustration turned into anger, and anger into a desire for rupture. Public opinion in the Sahel increasingly framed Western involvement as self-serving. Protests targeted foreign embassies and military bases. New leaders amplified these sentiments, portraying themselves as voices of popular will. The alliance is the institutional expression of that mood. It transforms protest into policy. The implications extend far beyond the three member states. Neighboring countries are watching closely. Some face similar security challenges and public pressures. The success or failure of this alliance will influence whether others choose to follow the same path or maintain ties with Western partners. A functioning regional security bloc could inspire a broader realignment across West Africa. Globally, the consequences are equally significant. As Western influence recedes, space opens for new actors. Alternative partners are eager to step in, offering military equipment, training, and diplomatic support without the political conditions often attached by Western states. This diversification of alliances weakens NATO's ability to shape outcomes in the region and complicates international coordination. There are also risks. Building an effective collective defense system is enormously complex. Differences in military capacity, political priorities, and internal stability could strain the alliance. Coordinating operations across vast, difficult terrain requires resources and discipline. Failure would not only undermine security, but could also reinforce arguments that regional solutions are insufficient. Yet, even critics acknowledge that the alliance represents a profound assertion of agency. It challenges the assumption that security in Africa must be externally managed. It forces Western policymakers to confront uncomfortable truths about the limits of their influence and the consequences of long-term intervention without tangible results. Expert analysis emphasizes that this development should not be dismissed as a temporary reaction or ideological gesture. It reflects structural changes in global politics. Power is becoming more diffuse. Regional actors are asserting themselves. Traditional alliances are no longer the only frameworks shaping security decisions. In this context, the Sahel alliance is both a symptom and a catalyst of a broader transformation. For NATO, the nightmare scenario is not military confrontation, but irrelevance. If regions once considered dependent begin to organize independently, the alliance's ability to project influence diminishes. Its narrative as the indispensable guarantor of global security weakens. This does not mean NATO is collapsing, but it does mean its dominance is no longer uncontested. The coming years will test the durability of this African alliance. Its members face immense challenges, from economic pressure to ongoing insurgencies. But regardless of its ultimate success, the message it sends is unmistakable. Africa is no longer content to be the stage on which others play out their strategies. It is becoming an actor in its own right. The question now confronting the world is whether this marks the beginning of a new order in Africa, one defined by regional solidarity and strategic independence, or whether it will become another chapter in the long struggle for stability in the Sahel. Either way, the implications are impossible to ignore. The nightmare for NATO may be just the first sign that the global balance of power is shifting, and that Africa intends to have a decisive say in what comes next.